Poseidon is one of the 12 Olympians in ancient Greek religion and mythology. He is the god of the sea, earthquakes, storms, and horses, often referred to as the Earthshaker and Tamer of Horses. He is the son of the Titans Cronus and Rhea, and brother to other Olympians such as Zeus, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. After the Olympians overthrew their older gods, the Titans, they divided the cosmos among themselves. Zeus received the sky, Hades got the underworld, and Poseidon obtained the sea, while the earth, an elemental component, was available to all three concurrently. Poseidon was widely worshipped by seafarers, and he was often called upon for safe voyages at sea. His weapon and main symbol is the trident. Poseidon was also known for his romantic escapades and had many love affairs with goddesses, nymphs, and mortals, resulting in numerous offspring, including the hero Theseus, the Cyclops Polyphemus, and the winged horse Pegasus. The Roman equivalent of Poseidon is Neptune. Like Poseidon, Neptune was worshipped as a god of the sea and earthquakes. Here are some interesting myths involving Poseidon. Poseidon and the city of Athens. During the age when gods freely interacted with mortals, the city that is now known as Athens did not have a patron deity. The two Olympians who were most interested in the city were Poseidon, the god of the sea, and Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. The two agreed that the one who could offer the city the best gift would become its guardian. Poseidon, going first, struck his mighty trident into the ground, and a spring burst forth. But it was a spring of salty seawater, which, while demonstrating his power and dominance over the sea, was not very useful for the people. Athena, going next, planted a seed in the ground, which quickly grew into an olive tree. The olive tree was a much more practical gift. It provided the city with olives, olive oil, used in food, as well as for fuel and lamps, and wood from the tree could be used in construction and as fuel for fires. The tree also symbolized peace and prosperity, as opposed to Poseidon's turbulent sea. The people of the city, led by King Cecrops, decided that Athena's gift was superior, and thus the city became known as Athens, in honor of the goddess. This caused a rift between Athena and Poseidon, which was reflected in the fact that the Athenians, while they respected Poseidon, held Athena in higher regard. After losing the contest to Athena, Poseidon, in his rage and disappointment, cursed Athens by sending a monstrous flood to the Attic plain, causing great destruction. This was his punishment for the Athenians for not choosing him as their patron deity. Poseidon and Medusa. Medusa was one of the three Gorgons, monstrous sisters known for their petrifying gaze in Greek mythology. But Medusa wasn't always a monster, according to some versions of her story. Once, Medusa was a beautiful maiden, a priestess serving in the temple of Athena, the virgin goddess of wisdom. Medusa was said to have had gorgeous hair and a beauty that attracted many suitors. However, being a priestess in Athena's temple, she was sworn to celibacy. Poseidon, the god of the sea, was captivated by Medusa's beauty. In some versions of the myth, Poseidon seduces Medusa. In others, he ravishes her against her will. Regardless, their union took place in Athena's temple, which was a significant violation of the sanctity of the virgin goddess's temple. When Athena discovered what had occurred in her temple, she was enraged. However, instead of punishing Poseidon, she transformed Medusa into a hideous monster. Medusa's beautiful hair was turned into a writhing mass of venomous snakes, and her gaze was cursed so that any man who looked directly at her would be turned to stone. Medusa, shunned and isolated due to her monstrous appearance and deadly power, was eventually slain by the hero Perseus. When Perseus beheaded Medusa, the winged horse Pegasus and the giant Chrysaor sprang forth from her body, said to be her children by Poseidon. Poseidon and the creation of horses. Poseidon, the god of the sea in ancient Greek religion and mythology, was indeed associated with horses and is often referred to as the tamer of horses. According to one myth, Poseidon created the first horse, aiming to impress the goddess Demeter. Demeter, who was the goddess of agriculture, harvest, and fertility, had set Poseidon a task to create the most beautiful animal the world had ever seen. Poseidon, determined to win her admiration, then created the first horse. In some versions of the story, he did this by striking a rock with his trident, while in others, he fashioned it from the waves of the sea. The horse was a majestic and useful creature that greatly impressed Demeter. From this myth, Poseidon became associated with the horse and was often honored and worshipped as Poseidon Hippios, the god of horses. This myth underscores the ancient Greeks' admiration for the horse and its important role in their society, especially in warfare, transportation, and agriculture. In addition to this, Poseidon was also depicted as driving a chariot pulled by hippocampi, mythical creatures that were half horse and half fish. This image further consolidated Poseidon's connection with horses in the minds of the ancient Greeks. Poseidon and the Minotaur. The Minotaur is one of the most famous creatures in Greek mythology, known for its body of a man and the head of a bull. This creature is associated with the myth of King Minos of Crete, and the creation of the Minotaur actually involves Poseidon, the god of the sea, indirectly. According to the myth, King Minos prayed to Poseidon for a sign to prove that he, not his brothers, was the rightful king of Crete. In response, Poseidon sent a magnificent white bull from the sea. The understanding was that Minos would sacrifice this bull to Poseidon as a sign of gratitude. However, the bull was so beautiful that Minos decided to keep it and sacrificed another bull in its place, thinking he could deceive Poseidon. Poseidon was not fooled by this deceit and decided to punish Minos. He made Pasiphae, Minos' wife, fall deeply in love with the bull. With the help of the craftsman Daedalus, Pasiphae was able to mate with the bull, and the result of this union was the monstrous Minotaur. The Minotaur was kept in a labyrinth designed by Daedalus under the palace of Minos, and was eventually killed by the hero Theseus with the help of Minos' daughter Ariadne. Poseidon and Odysseus. The myth of Poseidon and Odysseus is a central part of the Greek epic poem, the Odyssey, written by Homer. After the end of the Trojan War, Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, embarked on a long and perilous journey home, which was significantly impeded by Poseidon, the god of the sea. The reason for Poseidon's wrath was that Odysseus had blinded Polyphemus, a cyclops who was the son of Poseidon, in order to escape from his cave. Polyphemus had trapped Odysseus and his men in the cave, eating some of them and intending to eat all. In his desperation, Odysseus managed to get the cyclops drunk, then drove a stake into his one eye while he slept. Before losing his sight, Polyphemus had been convinced by Odysseus that his tormentor's name was Nobody. So when he cried out in his agony, the other Cyclops didn't come to his aid, because when they asked him who was hurting him, he responded, "Nobody." After blinding the Cyclops, Odysseus and his men tied themselves under the belly of Polyphemus' sheep and managed to escape when the Cyclops let them out to graze. However, as Odysseus sailed away, he made a great mistake. Wishing to taunt the now helpless Cyclops, he shouted back his real name. Polyphemus, in his anguish, prayed to his father Poseidon, begging him to curse Odysseus to wander for 10 years before returning home, to lose all his men, and to find trouble waiting for him at home. Poseidon heard his son's prayer, and from then on, he caused numerous difficulties for Odysseus, such as stirring up a storm that drove him off course or inciting other gods against him. Poseidon's anger towards Odysseus is a recurring theme in the Odyssey, and many of Odysseus' adventures on his decade-long journey home were a direct result of Poseidon's wrath. Despite Poseidon's anger, Odysseus was protected by Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, who was fond of him. Athena often intervened on Odysseus' behalf, which ultimately enabled him to return to Ithaca, albeit after many trials and tribulations. Poseidon and the Giants. In Greek mythology, Poseidon played a critical role in the Gigantomachy, a war that occurred between the gods of Olympus and the giants, known as the Gigantes. The Gigantomachy occurred after the Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the Olympian gods. The Gigantes were spawned from the blood of the castrated Uranus, which fell upon the earth, Gaia, giving them a divine lineage. Gaia, upset with the victory of the Olympians or the Titans, encouraged the Gigantes to rebel against the new rulers of the cosmos. The prophecy said that the Gigantes could only be defeated with the help of a mortal, so the gods enlisted the demigod Heracles to aid them. The battle was violent and lasted for a long time, with each of the gods battling against the Gigantes. Poseidon, as the god of the sea and earthquakes, was an imposing force in the battle. In one notable conflict, he fought and killed the giant Polybotes. According to the myth, Poseidon chased Polybotes across the sea. In his fury, Poseidon broke off a piece of the island of Kos and threw it at the giant, killing him instantly. This fragment of Kos is said to be the island of Naxos in the Aegean Sea. Poseidon and his trident. The trident is one of the most iconic symbols associated with Poseidon, the god of the sea in Greek mythology. The trident is a three-pronged spear, and it was said to be so powerful that it could shake the earth and shatter any object. It was crafted by the Cyclops during the Titanomachy, the war between the Titans and the Olympians. According to one version of the myth, Poseidon, along with his brothers Zeus and Hades, helped free the Cyclops, who were skilled blacksmiths, from Tartarus, where they had been imprisoned by their father Uranus. In gratitude, the Cyclops crafted magical weapons for the brothers. They made a lightning bolt for Zeus, a helmet of invisibility for Hades, and the trident for Poseidon. With these powerful weapons, the brothers were able to overthrow the Titans and divide the universe amongst themselves. The trident became Poseidon's signature weapon and a symbol of his power. He could use it to create water sources, cause earthquakes, and summon storms.